All right, I'm here with Ashish Malik, CEO of B Vectoring Technologies. That's ticker BEE. Ashish, thanks for joining me today.
Great, thank you. Wonderful to be here.
Excellent. And so, why don't we start with just a bit of an introduction? I don't think too many people are probably familiar with B Vectoring Technologies, BVT. So, can you just give a quick introduction to the company and just highlight sort of the market that you guys are targeting?
Yeah, great. So we're in the agricultural industry. We're an ag tech company, and we're actually developing a disruptive tool that's going to be used by farmers. And what's really exciting about, the technology that we're developing is we're part of this trend in agriculture to find ways to make it more productive, which means, producing more, a higher yield per acre of land, but in an environmentally responsible way. So one way to think about it is doing more with less. And we're actually part of this trend to find ways to make ag twice as productive over the next 2 or 3 decades using things like precision tools, precision agriculture, biologicals. So we're actually a key enabler towards this future trend.
Excellent. And so, yeah, you guys, just to put in context, so
Yeah,
it's similar to, it's like an organic pesticide. So
it
you
is.
can
Yeah.
you remove that environmental burden that you see with other pesticides. I believe I remember reading one thing that really intrigued me is you guys are a lot more effective at delivering it. So I think
Yeah.
it's like 2% is what the competitors, or you use as much as 2% compared
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
what competitors
Exactly. Yeah.
spray. So and then obviously if you can quantify the crop yields, those are all very measurable things that you can say, here's the value I'm creating for you as a farmer, and it's really easy for you to sort of drive up the value in terms of what you can charge. Now you mentioned patent protected or patent pending. Can you talk a little bit about the technology itself? I know there's a few different facets to it, and just how it's different from competitors.
Yeah. So what we have is there's two ways to think about our business. One is we're a biological company, right? And so the benefit of biologicals is these products, when they're applied on a farm, on a crop, are substitutes, alternatives to chemicals, right? So people today don't like when farmers spray synthetic pesticides on their crops or use synthetic fertilizers. So biologicals are clearly viewed today as alternatives. The other aspect of our technology is how does that product actually get applied? And this is what's unique about BVT. The traditional way a farmer will apply a product to their crop is they'll use spray equipment, right? So they'll have heavy machinery, they'll have tractors, boom arms. In some crops, they use crop dusters, aeroplanes. Well, we eliminate all that, and we use the natural pollination process that a bee uses to pollinate a crop, and take advantage of the flight that the bee makes between a hive and the flower of the crop, and use that bee to actually deliver in a very targeted way the biological product to the flower, and thereby protecting the flower against a disease or against a pest. So it's a system which is an all biological system,
Yeah.
all natural versus a chemical program. It's a very targeted delivery because you're delivering the plant protectant right to the flower. You're not wasting any product. And we've been able to demonstrate that over the course of the season, when you compare a traditional chemical fungicide program a strawberry grower would use in Florida, they would be spraying something like 4 kilograms of a pesticide, a chemical fungicide, on that crop. Well, our alternative, our system, you would be only applying 20 grams. So you're applying grams versus kilograms of a biological versus a chemical. So ours is really an all natural precision application system.
Excellent. And then you did say it is patented.
And
Um,
yeah, it is patented. We actually have patents that are across 5 different technology areas. Actually, six. We have a sixth that's patent pending, and they cover from the microbe itself, the biological, all the way through the delivery systems. And worldwide, we've already had 65 patents that have been granted to us. We have
oh,
another 30 or so that are pending.
excellent. And just in case, just so investors can understand, because this definitely sounds very complex, very innovative. But you guys have won awards for this technology. Obviously, you're getting recognition from the agricultural industry. Could you just highlight quickly what that was?
Yeah, absolutely. We've actually been quite active within the industry the last couple of years. On the one side, we've got about 15 partnership discussions that are ongoing, different aspects that we could, make distribution deals or product extension arrangements. And then through that, we've also now recently got recognized in the Agro Awards. Agro Awards are the premier ag tech innovation awards, and we were recognized this year in London last month as the best application technology. So
Cool.
that was very exciting for a small
Yeah,
company.
congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So now I just want to switch gears a little bit. We kind of understand the technology as much as we can, sort of looking on the outside. Just
Yeah,
look at the financials. Obviously, you guys are a public company. You want to get investors who are interested. They need to understand that there's a clear strategic plan, path to profitability. You want to talk about some of the current deals that you've had so far. Sort of you're a bit pre-revenue right now. Some of the pricing that I know you mentioned in your presentation. 3,400 is the value. 3,400 per acre is the value you create, but early stage, that's obviously not what you're able to charge. So can you just provide some color for investors on that?
yeah, absolutely. So we're just at the beginning of our revenue journey. Our initial focus is in the strawberry market in Florida, and then the blueberry market. And the blueberry market, we're looking at three regions. Blueberries are grown quite, diverse states across the U.S. We're starting in Georgia, Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon. We have opportunities in Michigan as well. And then longer term, we'll also look for, California, New Jersey, Maine, of course, Canada, and down south in Mexico. So blueberries is a tremendous opportunity. The first season for us is going to be about, introducing and getting adoption with some of the progressive farmers, right? So whenever you launch a new technology, you want to be able to influence the early adopters. These are guys that always embrace the new systems. They're the voice within the community. And so we selected about 8 or 10, and we're going to be doing business with, I think, 10 growers in Georgia. That's what we announced in the next season, which is February of 2020. And our goal is to kind of service the heck out of them. We want to make sure that they're delighted with our system. They understand it fully, because they will then become spokespeople for us. So our strategy is to carefully choose the early adopters, provide excellent customer service, and then leverage their relationships within the community to build market share. So obviously, with the resources that we have, we cannot be talking to 100 growers in Georgia. So we do it in a very targeted way, and then over time, we'll build the system out. We'll build the business out. So our objective on revenue for the first season is multiple crops, multiple markets, right? So we can check the box in Florida, we can check the box in Georgia. We'll be making, hopefully, announcements in the Pacific Northwest shortly. We do want to have some sales in sunflowers as well. And if we can do that in the first season, I see that as a huge success. In the meantime, we will expand the opportunity for BBT by pursuing registrations in Mexico, submitting registrations in Europe, in Canada, and expanding the field within which we can play.
Excellent. And I believe you said you want to provide some color on margins. I know in Q1 2019, around 20-25%. Obviously, early stage. How do you guys see those tracking? Again, I believe you mentioned before there was a pricing per acre that you guys were targeting for this first season to help roll things out. So you want to just provide some specifics on that?
Yeah, so in the strawberry market and even the blueberry market, we're actually testing two different pricing models. One is pricing on a per acre basis, and that's the way we're doing it in Florida strawberries. So it's a season-long program. It's about a 2.5-month season. So we will charge on a per season basis per acre. In blueberries, it's a much shorter season. So we're actually pricing it on a per hive basis, right? So they say they want to do 50 hives. The price is X dollars per hive. What it comes down to for both of those systems is about a $200 to $300 price per acre. And there's two different price points depending on the level of service that we provide. But that's the region. And through that kind of pricing, the growers are going to get an 8 to 10 times return on investment, which is very typical of what a grower would expect in the high value specialty crops in the US. With that kind of pricing, you asked about margins. Yeah, you know, obviously in fiscal 2019 and earlier this year, we announced revenue in March, April, and that was in the order of 22 or 23% gross margins. Gross margins in the initial few quarters will be low because you've got small quantities and your fixed costs of delivering product and trucking and so on
You're figuring things
will
out.
is high. I see gross margins getting to 50-60% once the business kind of steadies out in a season or two.
Excellent. No, I appreciate the detail on that. I think that'll be very helpful. And so
Yeah.
just obviously almost pre-revenue right now, going to expand. How much investment do you need to make in terms of, your own manufacturing production capabilities, any kind of, personnel expansion? What kind of investment do we need to expect in order to be able to get you to those higher margins and obviously that full scale operation?
I think we're in pretty good shape on production. We've got certainly the capacity to, up to $10 million of sales. We've got enough capacity to handle that. In our facility in Canada, we may need to have a couple more people, but the capability is already in place. The infrastructure is already in place. Then the next conversation is around, how many people in the field, how many customer facing people do we need? And for sure, we're going to have to add 2 or 3 people to support the sales in the US. We are also going to pursue partnerships to scale with distributors or manufacturers that have, a bigger presence in the field for the crops that are important to us. And then the rest of the capital, a significant amount of capital that we will need, will be focused on developing additional markets, right? So these will be registrations in countries outside of the US. But then we're also looking to expand our product portfolio by looking at additional products that can be delivered through our system. So there's third-party arrangements there that we'll pursue, but there'll be field testing that'll be involved. And then also finally developing foliar and seed treatment versions of our CR7 micro.
Right. Excellent. Well, it sounds like there's a lot on the go. And
Yeah, there is.
with the technology. So
Right.
I guess just to wrap up, do you want to provide just 1 or 2, what would be the biggest catalyst investors can expect or can look for in the coming quarters for BVT?
So, for sure, it's going to be, I would say that the milestone in 2019 that was critical for us was the EPA approval, which we got. I think the catalyst, as you look at the next 12 months, revenue in multiple crops is extremely important. An additional registration or 2 or submission of those to show that we're on our way for a globalization strategy. And then finally, what we hope is that some of those strategic partnerships that I mentioned, we're talking to 15 companies, will actually materialize into a signed agreement that we'll be able to announce that allow us to therefore expand our market. So those are the things that investors should be looking for in the next 12 months or so.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to chat. Very interesting story, and we'll definitely be following along closely.
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.